Hey there, Pagan Perspective. My name is Danny, and this is Monday on Subs Week. August is the collab channel anniversary, and that means that subs will get to answer this week and the following week. For subs questions, we got Choose Your Own Adventure, which means we can go back through any of the questions that the regular hosts answered and answer them as subs. So I'm going to talk about magical homes and how we set up our space, particularly because we are still very much in renovation stage. It is something that we're thinking about quite a bit. So one thing that I really focus on is, of course, kind of the just general flow. I find it really important to think about how energy is moving through a space and how people are moving through a space, because we carry our own energy with us when we move around our space. So I'm gonna kind of try and show you, but we live in a 900 square foot 1930s farmhouse, and it's not very fancy and there's some weirdness, but this is our living room. It's a pretty long and narrow space, but the one thing that's really great about it is that it flows right around in a square of the main living space. So there will be like a partial wall put back up here because, ooh. Anyway, we've got this kind of set up as an office. We were attempting to see what would happen if we blocked off where that doorway is, which leads into the kitchen. And what I noticed is it really, limits the flow, and it's not as useful for us. So we're gonna put a door kind of where I'm standing here and keep that door open, and that office space will then become our dining room, and we'll have this living space completely open. And then let's go to the very tiny kitchen, which is a mess. But this is where we blocked off the other room, and we'll open that back up and move the fridge over here, narrow, small, and then the stove, and just really allow all of the light and air and cross breeze to blow right through. So energy flow, how people move through a space and how energy moves through the space is really important. Lots of natural light and as much kind of passive heating and cooling as possible. So really letting the cross breeze from the east to west to flow through our space and limit how much AC we need. We obviously don't have central AC, but we do have a little like window box unit that we use upstairs in our bedroom. Other things that I really focus on is kind of creating mini like moments, either with fresh flowers or crystals or rocks from outside, feathers from the barnyard, things like that that represent the elements or divinity or just nature in general. And I like to put that on our dining room table or a corner of our kitchen and sometimes even our bedroom. It's nice just to have a moment of reflection and connection, and that's what kind of just little simple displays really do when it's done in a very mindful and intentional way. So when I harvest the flowers, when I set up the space, I'm really focused on kind of connecting to the universe and deity and making sure that I am kind of doing it in an honorful and respectful way. Then, of course, there is my sacred space, which I have chosen to kind of keep private for a while. Down in our mud room, so past the kitchen, is a space that's kind of weird. It's like a half basement, and that's what typically would have been the mud room. We don't use it that way very often because it's just not very functional yet. But I have 3 stumps from a tree that fell in our pasture last year, and on that I have kind of my altar set up. Next to those 3 stumps are my bookshelf with all of my pagany books, and then it is a really nice space to just lay out my yoga mat when I do something like that. What's nice about having it in that space is that the south-facing window is right in front of it, so I get lots of great natural light. I can see the garden through that window. It's a really, really nice connection. And because it's in this half basement where it's kind of like submerged lower than the rest of the living space house, it means that I am in an interesting position to kind of do a Druid within exercise. So thinking about that tree of life or a post in the center of a roundhouse, how it's connecting both the earth and underrealm with where you are presently and in the normal mundane world, and then the other world by kind of reaching for the sky. That symbol of like bringing and uniting those energies is a part of my sacred space, because it is a space and a room that is both partially underground and yet connected to our only upstairs part, which is very small, and still like in a present mundane part of our living space. So it's a really interesting physical manifestation of kind of those world tree exercises and ideas, and makes kind of transferring that energy and working with that idea very interesting and super useful in my practice. So those are just a few tidbits about what makes my home magical. We are still renovating, and so I'm sure there will be more as we, get further along. But when you do it yourself, it takes forever, and I'm not sure I was quite prepared for that, but it's going to be beautiful when it's done. Thanks for watching today, and I hope you can leave in a comment kind of your own ideas about what makes your home magical. I've been trying to watch the regular hosts' videos, but I know I've missed a bunch of the comments and stuff, so I'd love to hear about it on this video. Thanks for watching, and as always, may you find peace in the sacred grove.